Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a huge stack of sources you sent, over studies, articles, HR trends, and they all point to one thing.
Right. Employee onboarding.
Exactly. It's this business function that is, well, it seems almost universally misunderstood. So our mission today is to turn that fire hose of info into a clear strategic map.
Yeah, it's a topic that's often treated like, a necessary evil.
A chore.
Total chore. Sign the forms, get your security badge, try to memorize 100 acronyms, and then, get to work.
Right.
But the sources you provided, they reveal that treating it like that is, it's a massive self-inflicted wound for a company. Strategic onboarding is actually one of the most powerful levers a company has.
Lever for what? Exactly.
Boosting both long-term revenue and talent retention.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because the data, it immediately puts the stakes into perspective.
Yeah.
Getting this wrong isn't just wasted time for HR.
Oh, not at all. You're losing expensive talent almost right away.
And that's the shock stat, isn't it?
That is the critical shock stat. The Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM, they released data showing that up to 20% of worker turnover
20%.
happens during the first 45 days of employment.
Wow. 1 in 5. So 1 of every 5 new hires, people you spend a fortune to recruit, they're walking out the door before their probation period is even over.
It's a huge waste of resources. Recruiting, interviewing, admin.
Yeah.
Just to lose them on that 45-day cliff edge.
And when you factor in all the other costs, the manager's time, the team disruption.
Exactly. The true cost is just astronomical. So our mission today is really to look at the stats that prove effective onboarding is a profit center, not a cost center.
And to provide that clear roadmap for how to transform the process.
Precisely.
So if that 20% turnover figure is the stick, what's the carrot?
Yeah.
You mentioned some massive rewards.
The outcomes are pretty stunning, and they should get any CFO's attention, really.
Okay.
Research from the Brandon Hall Group suggests that great onboarding may increase retention by an eye-watering 82%.
82%. That's transformational.
It is. It changes the stability of the entire company.
But does it actually hit the bottom line? The profit and loss statement?
It absolutely does. Figures analyzed by NorthPass found that businesses with organized, structured onboarding saw a 60% increase in a year's revenue.
60%.
Compared to those who didn't.
So those two numbers together, 82% higher retention and a 60% revenue bump, that tells you everything.
It really does.
This isn't just HR compliance. This is a massive strategic opportunity.
That is being overlooked by so many organizations.
Okay, so if the payoff is that clear and the failure rate is that immediate, why is this still happening?
Right.
Why do so many companies struggle? The sources all seem to point to this massive focus on administrative tasks.
They call it the administrative trap, and that is the critical point of failure. A key survey from Sapling, an HR tech firm, it revealed that 58% of companies,
More than half,
exclusively concentrate on paperwork for the entire onboarding period.
So you're just crowding out anything strategic. There's no room for culture, for objectives, for training.
None. It's all about getting a signature on a form.
It's like focusing on the receipt instead of the actual purchase.
Yeah.
And it gets worse when you look at how little companies are willing to invest.
It's a huge inconsistency. Figures from Onboarding show that 35% of businesses spend no money on onboarding new hires.
Zero.
Nothing. They're running the whole thing on fumes.
Okay, hold on. Let's dig into that for a second. A company could spend tens of thousands on a headhunter, right?
Easily.
On recruitment software, travel for interviews, this whole elaborate process to find the perfect person. But the second that person says yes, the money tap just gets turned off.
It's a total blind spot. It's rooted in this perception that the job is done once the contract is signed.
They see recruitment as an expense and onboarding as just another cost.
Instead of seeing it as an investment that guarantees the return on that initial recruiting spend.
Yeah.
And that lack of investment, it shows up immediately.
And a lack of direction.
Exactly. Harvard Business Review highlights that 60% of businesses do not set any objectives or benchmarks for new recruits.
60%. Just think about the psychological impact of that.
It means 3 out of every 5 new hires are basically operating in the dark.
They're just wandering around, the office or Slack with no clear idea of what they're supposed to achieve by week 6, let alone month 6.
And without those measurable goals, they struggle. They don't see a future for themselves at the company. That ambiguity feeds dissatisfaction, And dissatisfaction feeds that early turnover rate.
Which leads us perfectly into the next big finding. If you need clear milestones, then the typical 30-day, here's your binder approach, it just doesn't work.
It's completely insufficient.
We're sort of culturally trained to think of onboarding as a sprint, but the data says it's a marathon.
A year-long commitment, actually, and the data here is really compelling. Attrivity found that a year-long program helps workers become fully proficient 34 times faster.
Wait, 34 times faster?
Well, that's the number.
That sounds completely counterintuitive. How does stretching something out over a whole year make someone proficient quicker than cramming it all into 1 month?
Because true proficiency isn't just about technical skill. It's about deep integration.
Okay.
Organizations are complex. You need time to adapt to the culture, to navigate office politics, to really understand the technology.
You can't rush that organizational osmosis.
You really can't.
So what does a year-long program actually look like? It's not daily training sessions for 365 days, I'm assuming.
No, absolutely not. The sources suggest regular, structured touch points.
Like what?
So, for example, monthly or quarterly tech deep dives, specific check-ins with HR and management, to talk about career progression, things like that.
So it's about maintaining a consistent, supportive presence.
Exactly, even after those first 90 days are over.
And one of the most effective ways to provide that support, according to the sources, is the buddy program.
Oh, it's almost universally successful. The stats are just overwhelming. Sapling HR data shows that assigning a new hire, a mentor, or a buddy improves their productivity in 87% of companies that try it.
87%. That's a near universal success rate. It just shows how vital that human connection is.
It really is.
But isn't there a cost there? I mean, you're slowing down a high-performing employee by making them a mentor.
There's a time cost, sure, but the return on that investment is immediate. The new hire gets productive faster and is way less likely to leave.
And the buddy's role is key here.
Very key. They're a mix of a mentor and a confidential friend. So the new hire has someone to ask the dumb questions to.
Right, like how to use the expense system or something.
Exactly. But they also have someone to talk to about concerns outside of their direct manager.
So it's a psychological safety valve. It reduces those hidden grievances that can build up.
Precisely. It turns cultural learning from a passive thing into an active, guided process.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's pivot to expectations. If companies are going to adopt this year-long, investment-heavy approach, managers are going to want to see progress. What should a company realistically expect in that first month?
You have to set realistic expectations based on data, not hope. And the Gallup data is really clear here.
Okay.
During the first 30 days, a new worker's productivity is only around 25%.
Just a quarter of what you'll eventually get. That's a crucial number for any manager to hear.
It is. If you know 25% is the baseline, you don't panic. You support.
Because productivity only really peaks after 12 months.
Right, which is why the year-long approach is so critical. If manager is demanding 100% at day 30, they're just setting everyone up to fail.
And probably contributing directly to that 20% early turnover.
Absolutely.
So if 25% is the standard, how do you measure progress and make sure the process is working? I assume you have to be asking for feedback.
That is the vital next step, and it's a powerful win-win.
How so?
Well, the Candidate Experience Global Research Report found that just soliciting new hire feedback improves the company's relationship with that employee by a huge 91%.
91% relationship improvement just for asking their opinion.
Just for asking.
That's an incredible return on a very simple investment of time.
It is. First, you find the weak spots in your own process so you can make it better for the next group.
Okay.
But more importantly, you make the worker feel respected and heard at a time when they feel really vulnerable.
And that feeling of respect leads to a big drop in early turnover.
A significant drop.
And that connects right into the idea of employee engagement. You start that positive relationship early, you set the tone.
You do. But there seems to be a major gap here. A gap between knowing engagement is important and actually doing anything about it.
What do you mean?
There's a striking contradiction. The Muse notes that 90% of company leaders believe engagement affects performance.
So they get it intellectually.
They get it. Yet, only 25% of companies actively manage employee engagement.
Wow. So 3/4 of leaders know it's important, but they just don't do it.
It's a canyon between belief and action, and a massive missed opportunity with new hires.
So what can you do?
Well, the sources recommend simple things, tangible strategies. Schedule team-building activities, organize some kind of introductory corporate game, prioritize social connection.
You can't just wait for engagement to happen.
You have to cultivate it from day one.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? How do you build that profit-generating, attention-boosting program? The sources really give us a clear 5-point checklist.
Yeah, we can condense everything we've talked about into a really punchy, data-backed strategy.
Okay, what's number 1?
Be funded. You have to recognize that investing in retention is way cheaper than constant high-cost recruitment.
Right. And number 2, the time component.
Be about a year long. True proficiency takes time, and stretching the process actually speeds up the final outcome.
Number 3, the structure.
Focus on specific objectives and the technical parts of the job. You have to move past the paperwork.
And number 4, that human connection.
Include regular reviews, training, and that buddy system to ensure continuous support and psychological safety.
And finally, number 5.
You have to take feedback seriously. Use the real-world experience of your new hires to constantly refine and iterate the process.
That boils it all down pretty well. It replaces this old assumption-based model with a data-driven investment model.
It does.
And of course, we have to briefly acknowledge that the workplace has changed.
Massively.
These rules have to adapt to how people work today.
Absolutely. The need for flexibility is paramount. All these requirements, the funding, the mentorship, the objectives, they have to be built into your remote and virtual onboarding too.
The principles stay the same.
The principles are the same, just the delivery mechanism changes.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive. We started with this idea that onboarding is a chore, and we've ended with clear evidence that a strategic, funded, and prolonged program, it just dramatically impacts the bottom line.
82% higher retention. A 60% revenue bump.
It moves so far beyond simple compliance. It's core business strategy.
And that brings us to one last thought for you to mull over.
Okay.
We learned that 90% of leaders recognize that engagement is important, but only a quarter of companies actively manage it.
Right. The canyon.
Exactly. So, given that your new onboarding process sets the entire initial tone for an employee, how can you optimize that process to not just retain talent, but to immediately cultivate and measure engagement, ensuring that your new hire feels part of that crucial, motivated 25% from their very first week?